Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Connected Aviation Intelligence event. We're having a great day so far. Hope you enjoyed that next generation connectivity session that we just had. Just a quick FYI, we actually have another session following directly after this session at midday Eastern time. That is titled The Benefits of Connecting the Business Aviation Ecosystem. And the presenter will be Lupita Wilson, who is the Senior Marketing Manager at Collins Aerospace. So we have a fantastic session to close the event this week. So please join that session. Collins has been is a fantastic company in this space, and I think talking about business aviation, I think that'll be a really great piece of content. So please join us for that. That will take place immediately following this case study, and that will take place at midday Eastern time. So without further ado, let's get started with this session. We have something a little bit different for you. We know you like your airline case studies, and we're bringing a good one for you today. We are super excited to welcome a new speaker to the Connected Aviation Intelligence family. So a big warm welcome to Daniel Barcenas, who's the Vice President of Safety, Security, and Quality Assurance at a Mexican low-cost airline, Viva Aerobus. So welcome, Daniel. Delighted to have you here, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you everyone for allowing me to present here with you. I know that it's a little bit different for the core business that you normally run at, but it's always interesting to be how the intelligence or the data that comes behind the aircraft can be used for improving the safety and the performance of an airline. First, I would like to let you know who we are at Viva Aerobus. Viva Aerobus is an ultra-low-cost airline in Mexico. Next slide, please. We are based on Monterrey, Mexico, that is north of Mexico, close to the border, close to Texas in Laredo. It was only 2 hours drive from there, and we started the company in 2006. We are formed by, on those days, for a joint venture between IAMSA, that is the biggest bus company in Mexico. Next slide, please. The biggest bus company in Mexico, has 13,000 buses all around Mexico. And the Ryan family, the founders of Ryanair, so they made a joint venture, and we started the company as a really ultra low cost company in Mexico, as taking the model from Ryanair, with the founders of Ryanair working here with us. So we started a really low cost airline in Mexico. So we started with a 737-300 in 2006, but along the time, we started to modernize our fleet. So we did a change from Boeing to Airbus in 2014. So we started in 2013. We started the buy of 52 A320neos. We started to receive them in 2016. But they started to see the CEOs that were still in production in 2014. So we started to switch from some 737s, 300 to A320s. And nowadays, we have a fleet of 43 320s. Those 320s, we started to operate this year 3 A321 with what we call cabin flex, that is with the maximum capacity of passengers that we have now operation in America, with 240 passengers. So as a low-cost airline, what we are trying to do is to achieve the maximum capacity so that we can produce the maximum of seats in every flight. Next slide, please. This is our network. We operate mostly in Mexico, but we have started also to get into the states, mostly on the East Coast area. flying to Cancun. That is one of the best destinations, and also a little bit of the in the west side with Los Angeles but Los Angeles and very few charter operation on the West Canada coast. This is just to let you know who we are. We are having now around 260 flights a day. We're moving around a million passenger a month. In this COVID situation, we were really struggling on the beginning of the year in March and April with the peak of the pandemic. We reduced our operation to circa 10%. Now we're fully back. November, thank God we were able to get back to the 100% operation that we had pre-pandemic, and then we are back now in operation. So I think we are the first airline in Mexico and even in America that is recovering back to the 100% operation that we had pre-pandemic. So that's where we are, and that's what we are. And then getting into the system. Next slide, please. So what we had in the previous days, when I started, I was director of flight operations. I was director of flight operations from Briga from the beginning until 3 years ago. And when I was running the fleet of those 737, I really felt a little bit blind of how the operation was really in terms of on safety and attachment to the standard operation procedures. So we tried to do a FOQA, the Flight Operations Quality Assurance, but we realized that our all 73s were not really wired to get all the information. So only a few of the fleet that we have in those days were able to record the information and access to them through a quick access recorder. So even when those few had the capability of doing that, we have to run to a very lousy process to get the information. Is that somebody have to go to the airplane, remove the PMCA card, and then load it into the systems, and then running into a solution to see the data that was really there and see how we were running. What really happened is that the data sometimes, if the technician for some reason forget to get it out, it was overridden, or it get lost if the car was removed in far away station before getting to the headquarters. So there was some of the information was really lost, and we didn't know exactly what's going on. Next slide, please. When we were changing to the fleet, in taking advantage of the all the advanced technology that the 320s has, well, we decided to put a QRs, but not only the QRs normal, but the wireless. So we did it with the QR and formats that maybe you know, you're techie guys and know more than me about those things, how we work in the environment of the work and transferring data, but it just worked pretty good. So nowadays, each time the aircraft lands and open the main door, it transmits all the information to the cloud. It gets into the airface and Teledyne. Then it gets to do different systems. Some of the data goes to Tableau, some other to Skywise from Airbus, and the other is to Airface to get into all the proper parameters aligned for the 320 that we have preloaded there, so that we can analyze the information right after the aircraft has landed. And we also have configuration in order to have alerts in case of something is really triggering out of the normal parameters, so that the FOQA team can look at it immediately. So that's basically what it gives you a real advantage of having the information not only days after the operation happened, but right after the aircraft have just landed. So it allows you to see how you are doing really in terms of attachment to the SOPs and in terms of not having those cowboys fighter pilots that just manage the aircraft the way they like. So that's one piece of the things that we have there. But now you have the data. What do you do with the data? And then FOCO and the Airface is a really good tool, but not not only that. So analyzing the data is another story. So next slide, please. The 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 flight data analysis is a great tool, but have its limitations. So it's sort of a blind, deaf, and dumb. So it needs human expertise for analyzing the data. So it's once you have the data, it tells you what happened, but it doesn't tell you why did it happen. So it's something that we have to do in a team that really review what is going on. Next slide, please. So that's sort of the things that happen. You get the information, but you already know what happened. The aircraft is telling you what happened, but you start to think, why did they do that? Why did it happen? What was really behind that? So it requires a team that gets you into that. So that's why I'm telling this is to improve the safety in that. Next slide, please. So the safety performance is only the way to be reactive or really proactive. So what we want is to have a team of experts that look at the data and see really what's going on. So the advantage that we have in Viva Aerobus, we don't have overnights or layovers. So all the pilots go back and forth to the same base where they are. So what we did is to give the program to the same pilot. So there are line pilots that are doing the analysis of their own flights. I mean, not the one themselves, but really there are line pilots analyzing other pilots so that they cannot have excuses if, about weather or air traffic control or orography or the area where they are flying, because the one that is analyzing also flies with them and also uh, is in the same very same position that they are. So what we do that because sometimes for many airlines it's really expensive and complicated to use a line pilot for doing other work than being a pilot. So what we have is one day of the week, instead of having a flight, they have a day for flight analysis. So it has been really well accepted by the line pilots, and because they know that it's not somebody from the desk and living a different life who is analyzing how they are performing. It's really the maze that the blind pilots also they're having that. So it allows you to keep in the safe area and not looking at the trends. It tells you where you have to focus and how you have to correct in order to keep you safe. Some of the disadvantages that we have as a low-cost airline is that everybody, next slide, please. Uh, Everybody thinks immediately when you say low cost, say, well, they're saving on training, they're just cutting edges on safety and stuff like that. And that's why we make a complex scenario with a integrating FOCA not only with FOCA, we got the safety management system, so that we have a person responsible for that, and is just getting into the safety management system and all the FOCA data and managing the risk so that you can correct and having the tendencies that doing the proper links with the training department, with the flight operations department, with maintenance, with everybody involved. So in order that we can keep us safe. So it's really a matter of safe, because we're handicapped when you say low cost. So I don't know if we deserve it or not, but what immediately the press and public sometimes immediately when you say low cost, they think in something like that. So we have to have extra cautious on everything that we do. So we have to be double safe in everything. Next slide, please. So having this multidisciplinary structure, it's getting everybody involved in the program. But you now you have the data, so it's not only whether you are getting from the aircraft from the safety perspective, but you are getting a lot of information now. So you are getting a lot of information from the health of the aircraft itself, uh, engine mostly, but everything is getting into that. So we use that with the Skywise so that we can predict when something is going to happen. In a matter of fact, a few days ago, we received an alert from the Skywise telling us that that's the pressure difference on that engine is gonna take a failure. So take a watch on that. So that's really cool that you don't even realize that there's nothing that the pilot or the technician could just check, but having the data and that it allows you to have the information way ahead before something happens. So that's a great tool. Next slide, please. So as a result of using the data, you can see how everything is going down and getting into the control. Obviously, we would like to have a zero indication on everything, but even though we are human and sometimes the errors happens and sometimes there are things that happen with that. But really, the high speed taxi in, taxi out is going down. So the many of the parameters that we check, like landing after an stabilized approach, there's something that we have been very critical with that. It's reducing. So if you are on a stable go around, don't try to force a landing. And configurations are having exceedances of configuration of extended flaps or landing gear or things like that, and also high speed below 500 feet or 1,000 feet. So everything in the trains you can monitor that, but it's all of this is possible because you use the data in a proper way. But once you have the analysis, you have the trends, you have everything in there. There's nothing if you don't give the information to the proper people. Next slide, please. Uh, just having the recreation of what happened, having the information on how the things were, is something that you already have. You can work with that, but it's nothing you cannot give it back to the proper people. So I did something that I just found out that is very unique. Next slide, please. And this is that we give the information back to the proper people, to the pilots. So we make a quarterly magazine that we call Foco in Numbers, that's in Spanish. Foco Numbers, that is just giving the pilots the information how we are doing, how we're performing, what happened in the trimester, and what's really the tendency that we're having. And just to be sure that the communication is properly set, that's what we did is I was having a conversation with my colleagues and say, well, what about if we invite some pilots to have breakfast, have a coffee, and chat about what we're doing, and say, well, say something like to the pilots is have tell histories and anecdotes about their flight. So we did it. We started with 4 pilots, and the last presential breakfast that we have an overbooking of 45 pilots, and it's just voluntary. It's not assigned. So we make the invitation. It goes any pilot who wants to go, and it's been really well accepted on that because the pilots always want to know how they are doing, how we're behaving, and it's just giving the data back to the proper people that very few person can have literally the safety and the performance of aircraft in their hands, literally. So that's on the part of safety, but also we have information about, next slide, please. How we're flying, next one, please. How we're performing. So once we have the data, we can also know how we're doing in terms of fuel consumption. The main cost of an airline is fuel. Well, normally is the property of the aircraft, even it's you're paying for it or leasing it. But the main cost is that. But second to that is fuel. So doing the improvement of the performance of the aircraft and how we are doing with that, just by managing the the information, is amazing. So just in a quarter, we save like $400,000 just for doing the proper performance and the few initiatives that we have. So, and we have use of Tableau and the data coming from the aircraft, so that we can see all the initiatives that we have. Where do we have to use tower? Where can you use flex takeoff? Where we can use lay the gear extension, or where we can do packs of air conditioner packs of takeoffs, or whatever of the different initiatives that we have, how we're doing that, and obviously measuring that, because the information is just coming across. So you don't have to be capturing and doing a lot of things on that. So taking advantage of the data, it allows to use all that information. Next slide, please. So as you can see, we are reducing the fuel consumption in every single initiative that we have. This is not possible just by one area. All the company have to be involved in that. The information have to get back to the proper people, and that's the way that normally we use the information in order to improve the safety and the performance of the airline. I think that's it. It's not only the data, is how you use the data, but obviously any of these things could happen if we don't get the data automatically from the airplane. That's the main thing. It's not just having information. Sometimes I remember my early days on the old DC-9s on the 737s, and it was almost impossible to be measuring the information. Even the departure times was a nightmare on those days, on the 80s. So nowadays it's really easy. The amount of data you can get from the information from the aircraft, and the ways that you can use it for improvements on whatever you want. So I think that's all that I have for you today. I don't know if you have any questions.
Okay, firstly, Daniel, thank you very much. That was a really interesting presentation. We've got a few minutes, so if you have any questions for Daniel, please do so. Please submit them via the comment section, and we'll get them to Daniel. I'll ask one or two sort of quick questions. We know that Viva Aerobus is sort of a low-cost airline. What is sort of the company's approach to connectivity overall? I mean, I know you spoke very much about the operations side of things, but has it really embraced connectivity to passengers and connectivity overall? I mean, what's sort of the airline's overall philosophy towards connecting its fleet?
Yes, we have doing some of those exploration of those days. Still the first with the Iridium and some other areas on that, but the cost and the business case that we have on those days was not really something that we could afford on those days. We're exploring different ways of doing that, even with now with the 5G technology, and trying to use something with the antennas all around Mexico, because most of our flights are over Mexico territory. So it could be something that we're exploring, but really there's not on the satellite side, because the last time we checked, it was really expensive, and so that's why we haven't proceeded that. Even this solution that we did with the 4G on the or LTE for transmission of the data was after exploring many other solutions, because it was just the difference of having live information or just having when you are in land. So that's why we moved to that approach. But yeah, there's something that we have explored, but so far the business case doesn't give a positive result.
That's interesting. I mean, do you see? I mean, there's been a lot of talk with sort of, particularly during a pandemic, that of the importance of connectivity in aviation. Has what's happened with COVID changed Viva Aerobus's philosophy, thoughts about its connectivity approach, either in operations or more generally?
Not really. What we did, obviously, when we reduced the operation, where we were trying to survive as every other airline on the system, just and we didn't have any restriction besides that the passenger weren't there. So we were just reduce the capacity based on the demand that we had. So we put it back on the demand as long as the passenger were willing to fly again. But what we were trying to embrace is to give the passengers that they were safe of taking the airplane, and they were safe getting into an airport. And I think we sort of succeed with that, but not really on the offering of new or more products. We're trying to do something new, and that is on-board flight entertainment, but taking advantage of everybody has a gadget now. So what we are going to be doing is just having a sort of server. I don't remember the name of the system right now, but so that we're going to put a server in the aircraft that is going to broadcast for the aircraft on flight, but and getting into the Wi-Fi, so that provide Wi-Fi. You know more than me about that. There's having that everybody can just get the airplane network and see whatever they like, but they have to be have to pay by itself. I mean, the advertising and everything that goes into that is gonna pay. So and of course we're gonna put some pay content that they can see movies or special programs if the pilot the persons wants, but mostly we're trying to get it free, and that it get paid by the advertising that the people post in there.
Okay, we have an audience question, so we only have a few minutes left. So if you have any questions for Daniel regarding Viva Aerobus and I guess more connectivity in its operations, please get them over in the next couple of minutes, and we'll get those questions across. We have a question. Can you explain more how you're using Tableau for decision making on fuel?
Yeah, well, all the information that this is getting across the information with Tableau, it's the parameters are set, and let's say that we say, well, those are the initiatives that they want. We're going to measure, no say, I don't know whatever the parameter be, but let's say that we want that at least 20% of our operation have to be in late landing gear extension. So instead of extend the landing gear at 3,000 feet, 10 miles away, we're going to do it 5 miles away, and see how many of those operations we're having on that. So all the information goes into Tableau, get processes, and we have a dashboard there. so that we can look how we're doing. And then it goes to the chief pilot, it goes to the operations engineering, and see how we're getting the information. So it goes directly from the information goes from the aircraft to airface, and then airface set up the information in Tableau that we can get the dashboards on the control center.
Okay, I'm going to end on a final question. What would you like? I mean, we have a lot of technology people, satellite community people coming to this event, looking at how they can work with airlines, whether it's Aviva, Airbus, or actually we have another question. Let's scrap that. Let's go. We have an audience question, so we'll go to that instead of my question. So we have a question that says, are you considering technologies such as big data and artificial intelligence? If so, where do you see more value from these technologies? Onboard applications or ground applications? If onboard applications, what is your opinion about the, wow, it's a long question, about the implications of AI automation? So I guess, I mean, if we can start with the first part of that question, you know, maybe talk about sort of big data and artificial intelligence.
Yes, we're working on that. In a matter of fact, we are using artificial intelligence for commercial purposes, for pricing and preference of the people, for routing analysis, and many other things. That there are many people looking into that, and we are hoping that we can use the data getting out of the aircraft to use more artificial intelligence in terms of what we talk about of Skywise. So Skywise get all the information from all across the world and get the performance of different parts of the aircraft so that they can predict when something is going to happen. So that's sort of artificial intelligence that we are using for the operation and improvement of safety. But yeah, we're still way to go on a matter of artificial intelligence and use of the data. We have a lot of data now, but there's still a lot to process. But yes, we're going to be working for sure on artificial intelligence.
Okay. And my question before that one came in was, I was going to ask you about what are you looking for from the technology community? We've got a lot of satellite people, technology people joining the event this week. As an airline and an end customer, what can these communities do to make your job easier? What would you like to see?
Yes, satellite it's been my dream since the 90s, when I wanted to see where my airplanes were, and I explored many of the things that on those days, but really was complicated to have. It all was before ADSB and all those things that we have for locating the aircraft. But I just wanted to know where my aircraft were, and cost effective is the answer. I mean, all the technology have to be cost effective, because everything that you spend on an airline ticket goes to the passenger. I mean, if whatever improvement you put, it has to end up in the passenger. So in order to keep it in low cost and efficiency, they have to give you the value of what you're paying for. There's a lot of technology there, but it has to be cost efficient. And I know that sometimes there are things that are priceless, but mostly all the technology have to be in a way that we can use it, that we can afford for it.
Okay. Well, I think we're just about out of time. Daniel, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you as a speaker for our Connected Aviation Intelligence event this week. Really appreciate it. It's good to have, we had Aero Mexico last time, so it's great to have another big Mexican airline to take part in that. This is not actually the last session of the day or of the event. So I believe in just over 5 minutes time, just to repeat, Lupita Wilson, who is the Senior Marketing Manager for Collins Aerospace, will be giving a presentation, the benefits of connecting the business aviation ecosystem. So I think that will be a fantastic presentation. So please stay around for that, and I'm sure that'll be a great way in which to close the event. All it remains for me to say is a big thank you to Daniel for taking part and sharing a little bit how Viva Aerobus is using connectivity in its operations. Thank you again to to all of our speakers, all of our audience. Really appreciate it. We know that this year has been a tough year in aviation, but there is obviously some more optimism, and hopefully we'll have some better days in 2021. But we'll see you all in 5 minutes for Lupita's presentation, and we look forward to that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.